Welcome to the Gals Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Katie, and I'm joined by Bonnie, Leah, and Amy talking about our one cool naturalist gal. Amy has already talked about Janaki Amal. Bonnie has talked about Jean Stratton Porter, and Leah has talked about Maria Sibia Martin.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yep.
But before we dive back in, Leah is going to tell us what's going on the Gals Guide calendar for this week.
Yes, I'm going to try. Spend lots of pina coladas. So, week 4. For the week of April 25th through the 30th, we have book club meeting on Zoom.
What?
Led by our lovely Katie Harris. Join us to talk about The Awakened Woman by Dr. Tarani Trent, right?
Absolutely.
You're like, sure.
That's what's happening.
So it's on Thursday, April 28th at 8 p.m. Don't forget to register beforehand so you can get that Zoom link, and you can register at galsguide.org. We are also going to have a workshop inspired by Tara Ra's book. We are going to root our dreams, and then we are going to plant them in the soil. So come for an inspirational workshop to connect with the awakened woman in you. This workshop is $10. It includes all the planting materials. Registration is required so we know how much plants to get, and so how we know how much soil and how many little pots to get and all that kind of good stuff. So register. The event is on Saturday, April 30th at noon. Register at galsguide.org.
Is it possible we'll have like a couple walk-ins reserved?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
I'll
so
always have extra.
You'll be updating
Yes.
Facebook with that kind of
So
stuff.
it's one of those things where if
Okay.
you registered, then I know how many to get, and then I can get a little bit extra.
Like a couple more, but
Yes.
you don't want to miss out on this.
Yes, very
so
true.
Sign up.
And if I find like special, maybe an upgraded little pot that maybe somebody would want, we might have some upgrade options as well. So,
Nice.
but yes, it'll be fun. I mean, I'm always at a freaking plant store because of my husband. So I think I'll find something. Okay. So if you can come for Rooting Your Dreams on April 30th, stay for our book signing, because that same Saturday from 2 to 4, we are having Kathy Martin O'Neill signing copies of her book, Madre, the nun who was the mother of orphans in Honduras. So Madre is a celebration of a fearless woman's great goodness, charisma, and chutzpah in challenging the corruption and machismo to break out generational cycles of poverty. So book sales not only help Gals Guide, Nickel Plate Arts, but also Kathy is taking donations for the orphans of Honduras as well, who she wrote this book to help. So check out our Gals Guide calendar, events at galsguide.org. Katie, you have a rando question for us, don't you?
I did. I decided to torture you guys and come up with my own
I like it.
off-script question.
Yes.
And it's important because we are starting to enter spring and summer. People might want to get outdoors more.
Yes.
So since we all live in Indiana,
Right.
I would like to know if you guys have a favorite Indiana state park, or just where's your favorite place in Indiana to experience nature?
Amy was very quick with already having an answer. Do you want to go first?
I do already have an answer, and it's a very small one, but I love
Small and mighty.
Yes, I love Southwest Way Park.
Oh,
I
don't think I know that one.
It is on the south side, and it's I think it's a city park,
Gotcha.
but it has a huge trail system that it's multi-use, so it's hiking. There's a lot of mountain bikers, and you can also have horses on parts of the trail.
Horses.
So yes, if you
Wow.
go on the weekend, sometimes you'll be hiking and there'll be horses.
Yes.
There's a mountain bike group, and they maintain all the trail system. They work with the parks department,
Yeah.
and so every once in a while there'll be a call out to come and help clean up the trails, or to build new ones, or to do trail maintenance. And I don't know why, every time I go there, I find like a weird rock or a weird something on the ground. The river runs right by it, so part of the trail system you can walk right by the river and skip stones.
Yeah.
The bikers are all really nice. If you're a walker, they always make sure that they're coming so that you can get out of the way. It's signposted beautifully. I love to run there. I love to take my son and walk. And we just wander around and
Enjoy the nature.
I know. Well, and it's so dumb, but like I've made so much jewelry out of weird stuff I found there.
Mhm.
Weird
That's awesome.
rocks. And last time I was there, I found a bunch of just little pieces of blue and white ceramic pottery. Like somebody broke a plate, or I don't even know. It was in part of the trail that they had just built a new mountain bikey thing on. So maybe they dug it up, because there's an area too that has a mattress, like a metal bed
Why not?
spring,
Right.
that you can kind of see. I don't know. That park is crazy. For a long time, there was like a weird hut made out of sticks in the middle of it. That was like a weird, we loved that. And then it got taken down or burned down, and then people rebuilt it. It's so weird, but it's not only beautiful and in a beautiful area, but I think the community that maintains it, and just everybody working together, and there's a Facebook group, and people are always like, I want to bring my horse out there, but I don't want to disturb anybody who's biking or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know. It's really nice. I highly recommend it. It's so close. You can just go and park and walk, and
that sounds
really
amazing.
Nice. I don't know. It's just really special to me. Every time I go there, I just think of how special the vibe is. It's the vibe.
There you go. Exactly. Dun, 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 dun. Do you have one, or do you want me to go?
I could go, I guess.
Okay.
So, I mean, I love my
Oh,
own backyard.
there you go.
Gardening.
True.
I do like the 100 acres.
Yes.
At the IMA.
Yeah.
It's just a little naturey and a little arty.
Yeah. It's kind of a mix of both, so it's kind of neat. Yeah.
And then she reminded we have Eastway Park. Or is it South Eastway Park?
There is South Eastway
One of those,
Park.
but there's the little trails and a little river.
Gotcha.
Amber likes to go in there and flop around in the water.
Exactly. Aw. I don't go there that often, but I love Turkey Run, and it's mostly the horseback riding. It really is. It's a combination of the horseback riding, and then it's the rock cliffs that you can walk in between, where like basically the rocks are leaking. And it's like these little mini waterfalls of cascadingness and stuff. And it just, you can walk down in between, and you just feel so small against, giant nature surrounding you. So I don't like the drive to Turkey Run. It always seems like it's really, really far, but then I get me on a horse, and then I'm super happy. So I love horseback riding. It's one of my favorite things, and I do not do it that often, but it's fantastic. I just imagine I'm an Amazon. Wild horseback riding, back to my roots or something. Yes. Katie, what is yours?
Oh gosh, I'm pretty biased. I grew up in Madison, Indiana, and we have Clifty Falls State Park just down the road.
Yes, true.
So I was able to go there a lot when I was young and check out the falls, and then the gorgeous view of the riverfront.
Yes, where you can see Kentucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I know you can see another state across the water. Yes.
Yep. So that's a favorite park of mine, and I'm with Bonnie, like, home.
Yeah.
And even especially growing up in Madison, I remember we lived by some woods that had a mini waterfall behind it, which we were only allowed to go to with my dad.
Right. Exactly.
But I can remember, going around it and finding newts and stuff like that. And our back fence had honeysuckle all over. I don't know if other states have like as much wild honeysuckle, but do you guys see that around?
No.
There's a few places here. More growing up, but there's actually somewhere I think on Clinton Street that has like a big little area of it growing on a fence. It smells so good.
See?
So.
Oh, nice.
We'd be making Gene Stratton Porter happy right now.
I
romancing
know.
the Indiana nature.
Exactly.
But I'm going to go in a totally, may I almost say, polar opposite direction and talk about a conservationalist.
Yes.
If that's the right word.
There you go.
That worked hard to fight for preserving nature in Alaska.
Yay!
Yes. I'm going to be introducing Celia Hunter to all of you guys. Have you heard the name before?
Only because you told me who you were covering in a panic. You were hoping nobody else was covering her.
The story started feeling a little familiar because there have been a lot of strong women fighting for Alaska and the nature. I know we've talked about it.
Right. We've talked at least about two. Yeah, exactly.
So
but
it's like, ooh.
Yes. Yep.
But I think, and also how she differs from some of the women we've talked about so far this month is she started out as more of a adventurer.
Ah, okay.
And kind of stumbled into it. Like as she was adventuring and experiencing things, she went to Alaska and fell in love with how gorgeous and beautiful and the nature there.
Yeah.
And knew that she wanted to fight to preserve that.
Nice.
So she actually grew up in Washington State.
Okay.
She was born in my notes.
You're like, it's in here somewhere. It's all good.
Well, I wrote it down like you would like your own birthday.
Right.
But that seems weird for dates way back in the past because usually it's like January 13th, 1919, like it's a significant thing. But I just wrote like 1/13/1919. So it was small.
Right.
Anyway, she was born in 1919.
Yeah.
And when she turned 21, she immediately signed up for her first lesson in learning how to fly airplanes.
Oh, nice.
That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to go on adventures and she wanted to fly airplanes.
Yeah.
So she took to that really quickly and eventually became part of WASP.
Yes.
Which the World War II.
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me what all that stands for, but it's the women who would help transport.
Women Aviation Service.
Pilots.
Pilot. It could be pilots. It could be planes.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Air Force Service pilots.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah, or women Air Force Service pilots.
Because a lot of what they did is they would drag army planes to another area, or they would fly the army plane to a base. Yes,
army planes for the military.
Moving planes around.
Right. Exactly. Plane Jenga.
But you may not know this. They were able to help the troops during World War II doing that.
Yeah.
But they had limits on where they could fly.
Oh.
So women were not allowed to fly planes to Alaska.
Oh. Too far? Okay.
I guess so. Maybe too dangerous. Because, I mean, think about World War II planes. They're not all climate controlled and they're not as sophisticated as what we imagine these days.
Sure, but if the planes need to get there, the planes need to get there.
But, us fragile ladies.
Sure. Our uterus might float
chunk of metal in the sky, but okay.
Right.
I want to throw in there, because I was really loving how Amy very much personalized her gal she was sharing.
Yeah.
That I did read that her favorite plane was the P-51 Mustang.
Oh, yes. Ooh. Oh, no, it's a good plane. I have no freaking idea what kind of plane
it sounds
it is.
cool.
Named after a horse.
It is, isn't it?
No,
it is Mustang.
Amazing. Let's go really fast.
Straight.
So she and her very close friend, Jenny, decided that if they couldn't fly to Alaska with the military, they could find their own way to fly to Alaska.
Yeah.
I think her quote is like, "We wanted to see what the fellas were talking about."
Oh, man. That's a good reason to do anything.
Right. So they found this guy, non-military, that needed to transport some airplanes to Alaska, and they signed up to fly them there.
Oh, okay. His name wasn't Jim, and he didn't get lost in the limber forest a lot, did he? Okay.
No.
Just tying it back. Just lost Jim.
Lost Limber Jim.
I don't remember.
You're totally fine. I was making a
totally
joke.
I know you were, but I couldn't pull myself out of it because I started scrolling my
like,
notes and I was like, I don't
crap,
have
she's joking.
it
Yes.
for you.
DB Cooper.
Yes. Oh, yes. His name was DB Cooper.
Yep.
There you go. He stole $1 million from a plane and then disappeared. Exactly. Also,
but I want you guys to guess.
Yes.
How long? I'm covering my notes.
Okay. I haven't looked.
How long do you think it took Celia and Jenny to fly from Seattle, Washington to Alaska?
I mean,
This was like 1944.
2 weeks. I don't know.
10 hours.
No. It took them 27 days to reach Alaska.
Whoa! Is it that far, or is it suck that
I
much?
knew if I made you guys do this, you'd ask me questions, and I honestly have no idea why it took that long.
How long does it take
It's
now?
a 30-hour flight.
Okay.
Apparently for them.
Okay.
But they also were in these planes that were not suited for the climate.
And then
And,
they
like,
go
probably had to
somewhere,
refuel
wait it
every
out,
5
go
minutes.
somewhere else.
Right. Like Jenny's plane was had unairworthy fabric and no heat.
Okay.
So they nicknamed it Little Igloo.
How does a plane have unairworthy?
I know, right? Exactly.
It's a plane. Like, if
what was it made out of?
Fabric
Tarps?
on it, it should.
I'm guessing like there's probably
airworthy.
some fibers of fabric that don't freeze or have a higher, like a lower threshold. But
right.
this was probably like,
It's like a
some,
canvas plane?
I just want to say that right now, if you flew from Seattle to Alaska, it takes 2.5 hours.
Oh my god.
Just putting it out there.
Right. Just times were different. Those
You
planes
didn't
seem
have
to
to
suck.
wind the plane up in the front.
Right.
You don't have to do that anymore.
This is true.
Celia talks about how on the leg between Watson Lake and Whitehorse, which is a 3-hour flight, when they landed, she had to chip Ginny out of the cockpit and she was so cold she couldn't move.
Oh no, she was a capsicle.
Yeah.
She was frozen in with
She was a
She's
gensicle.
frozen to her seat or whatever.
Oh my god.
I don't know. But this will help you understand. By the time they reached Fairbanks, they were stranded in 50 degree below zero weather.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's
When
going to
they
be a
got there.
hard pass for me.
Right.
Oh my god.
I'm wearing an airworthy fabric.
Right. See?
I'm too cold.
Exactly.
Airworthy. But a lot of people talk about how those kind of experiences with Alaska would scare people off and they wouldn't want to settle there or spend
Right.
time there. But that was not true for Celia. She absolutely loved Alaska. However, after that adventure, she spent some time doing like some commercial air flights, not as the pilot, but as a stewardess, flying people to different towns around Alaska.
Being on a plane. Yeah.
And then she and Ginny went on this like European crazy adventure where they like bicycled half of like Sweden and like did all this stuff. And then they were ready to come home, so they just like hitchhiked on a tanker boat, ship, whatever.
Right. Look, like cargo sort
Yeah,
of thing.
Atlantic Ocean on a tanker.
Oh, look at that, like you do.
Yeah.
Do you
Just
lift
hopped on
your
board.
leg? Do you lift
Yeah.
the bare leg and do a little kick for the tanker? Like,
Right.
come on,
And you're allowed
boys.
to board.
Okay. Just making
You
sure.
stand on the dock with your
Yep.
thumb out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
A little sign.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So she and Ginny, they were that I've been talking about, they were close their entire lives until their deaths.
Yeah.
So then they ended up going back to Alaska. They were just drawn back there. And Ginny got married, and the three of them founded Camp Denali.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever
Oh,
heard of
okay.
Camp
Yeah.
Denali?
I want to
It
say
still
I have.
exists.
Yeah.
So they were inspired by their time in Europe, where there was like this very like, I guess minimalist is kind of the word we use now,
Okay.
but very naturalistic camps and nature experiences. They saw a few
Gotcha.
places set up like that,
Kind of
and
like
they wanted to do that
Bohemian
there at
or...
the foot of Denali.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
very-
Yeah. Okay.
Very that, because like
Yeah.
they spent a little time in the U.S. and they both decided, they said it was just too commercial, too wealthy. It
Yeah.
wasn't the experience they wanted. They weren't interested.
Oh, nice.
So they went to Denali and built their little like cabins. Even now they don't have electricity. I looked up like the website of Camp Denali
Do
to
they
see
make
what
their
it was
own?
like now.
Do they make their own ketchup?
I wish. Actually, no, it was really funny because one of the things Celia talks about is how she wanted to get away from like tourism that was like
Yeah.
schmancy.
Right.
And so it's still very rustic, but that is like 5-star type restaurant. And like there's like a fanciness, but if you get one of the log cabins, like it literally it's propane lighting, and then you have a very immaculately kept outhouse, it said.
Oh, okay. All right.
That you can use.
Very nice.
So-
You can hike back in and have 5-star.
Yes. Every
With your own private chef.
eco-tourist wants.
I'm fine with that.
Right, exactly. Best of both worlds.
But setting that experience up for people, and it was basically the first like ecotourism in Alaska, but of course that terminology didn't
It didn't
exist at that time. But it really set on her path towards conservation work. She ended up meeting Marty Murray,
Okay.
I think around late 50s.
Okay.
And her husband, and they were pushing to form the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge.
Oh.
Which
okay.
is a huge amount of land.
Yeah.
That they wanted set aside to conserve, preserve, make sure that it wasn't settled and destroyed by progress.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, nobody in Alaska really was into the idea.
Oh.
No.
So they got support from like outside Congress, like a few other
Right.
statesmen, that kind of stuff. But Alaskans didn't want anybody telling them what to do with their land.
I mean, that's fair.
So as a response,
Until there's oil on it.
On top of oil and gold,
Uh-huh.
and diamonds or whatever.
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually really cool because she realized, in her opinion, it wasn't because of not wanting to share those resources or like a real desire for progress and changing all of that.
Right.
Like she felt like in general, the Alaskan people just thought it was always going to look like this.
Right.
And
just if you don't mess with it, it'll be fine.
We don't have to do anything special because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But she was pretty smart and saw that probably wouldn't be the case. So she helped found the Alaska Conservation Society.
Oh, cool.
So she would pull in like local Alaskan people that live there to become part of this group that would push the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge.
Oh, nice.
And to be in it, well, not to be in it, but to be able to be a voting member of it, you had to live in Alaska.
Perfect. That keeps that riffraff out.
Right. So they did get the bill for the Arctic National Wildlife Range. It was not passed in Congress, but it was actually just signed by Eisenhower before he left office.
Okay,
in
gotcha.
1960.
Gotcha.
And then Amy was talking about full circle, and
Yeah.
I kind of had a moment after reading about Celia, because on the eve of her death,
Yeah.
which was December 1st, 2001,
Oh, wow.
she was actually penning a letter to Congress about keeping the oil drilling out of the
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Arctic National Wildlife Refuge.
Oh, my gosh.
But then I kind of got sad because I'm like, that's not a full circle that should happen, right? Because
Right.
she already fought for that.
It
She
was
already
done.
saved that. It was
Yeah.
a done deal. But I also found it kind
The
of
fight
beautiful
still
because,
continues.
she's like 82.
Yeah.
She passed away after writing this, and she
Aw.
was still fighting for Alaska.
Right.
So, and then a few
Kind of
weeks
bittersweet.
right?
Yeah.
I was like processing it all. And a couple weeks before that, before her death, she was actually on a radio show,
Mhm.
and she had a quote that she was directing towards kind of the youth of America.
Mhm.
She said, "Change is possible, but you have to put your energy into it. You can't expect me, I'm past 80, to be the mover and shaker of this.
Aw.
But people like you are, and you're going to have to bite the bullet and really decide what kind of world you want to live in."
Yeah.
So that
That's
was what hooked me
sweet.
into wanting to talk and share her with you guys.
Yeah.
Is kind of that end of life story, that she still had so much passion for it,
Mhm.
and that she wanted to pass on the torch.
Right.
Because I did find a lot of articles about people that were mentored by her at the Denali camp,
Aw.
and were inspired into conservation work because of her.
Yeah.
One lady was talking about how she always looked forward to her weekly slideshows.
Oh, gotcha. There you go.
Celia would do
Nice.
like weekly conservation
Aw.
slideshows for everybody.
Aw.
Her
and I'm gonna-
PowerPoint presentation was
Mhm.
amazing.
Point on. But I'm going to share two other things because I had never heard of either of these issues that Celia had a huge part in. Apparently, there was this project called Rampant Dam
Okay.
where they were going to dam up the Yukon River
Oh.
and create a lake that would be 300 miles long.
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
For what?
It was meant to supply cheap hydropower
Oh.
Hydropower.
for an aluminum smelter. So it was for industry.
Oh, it wasn't for. Oh.
Yay.
It was for industry, yeah. So Celia and others joined together to show how devastating of an impact this would have on the environment.
Yeah.
And not only the environment, because it also became a human rights issue because it would have displaced 1,200 Native people.
Oh, yeah.
Native Alaskan people who had a settlement like right
They
there
were
around
living
it.
off the water. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean,
So-
yeah.
So they fought that and won, and it was not established. And this other next big fight she had totally blew my mind.
Mhm.
Apparently, somebody had the idea. This is called Project Chariot.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a proposal to use a nuclear bomb for blasting a harbor out of the northwest Arctic coast.
They
They wanted to make
No?
themselves a deep harbor,
What?
and they thought they would try a nuclear bomb to
What
see how
year
it would
was
go.
that?
Let me
2002.
see.
No, I'm just kidding. No. Wow. Let me count the ways
I'm
this could go
guessing
wrong.
This was in the 60s, but I cannot.
Oh,
find
when
a
we
date
wanted to
right
blow up
now.
everything?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We
'Cause
were
it was
testing it with our
after-
sunglasses on.
Right.
Right.
We were hiding from it in refrigerators, Indiana
Protect
Jones.
your eyes. Put on your Ray-Bans.
Right. Oh.
my god.
Yeah, so they, and I love her
No.
quote about this incident. She said, they thought they could push everybody around, they being like the people
government.
proposing this.
Yeah, yeah.
And they suddenly discovered that they were up against an informed citizenry. I
Yeah.
can't say that word.
Citizenry.
Yes.
Yes.
She says, this is how close the U.S. and Alaska came to having their own Chernobyl catastrophe.
Mhm.
Right. Because the fallout would have been horrible.
Well, and if it's underwater too, I mean that contaminates.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how far it would spread,
Right.
But it would. I mean that all the oceans are connected.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No,
Well,
it would
this,
be horrible.
This is going to make you feel good then.
Yeah.
Before the Atomic Energy Commission left Alaska, it imported several tons of radioactive waste and buried it near the proposed harbor to see how it disseminated through the ecosystem.
Oh,
Oh, good. Let's test it.
Yep.
where's
So they
that now?
buried
Is
that.
it still sitting?
It's
there?
in our water.
I assume so. I mean, I'm guessing this is in a very northern part of Alaska.
Sure, but all the water is connected.
But it can't be that remote if they were going to build a harbor, because they
That's
would have to
true.
have something they were harboring in and out.
Moving.
Right, exactly.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure it was minerals.
That
and
whole
oil.
coastline of,
Yeah.
Washington State, Oregon, and California, Yay.
I really enjoy the otter, and I do not want to nuke them.
Right, yeah. I like the polar bears.
I think that would be an interesting one to look into more, because I
Yeah.
had never heard such a thing. And then the fact that
Hey.
they fought against it and it didn't happen, but they went ahead and decided to
Right.
experiment
Oh,
and
it's
put
a
all that in
science experiment
there.
now.
I'm sure there are lots of articles about
Yeah.
that.
I wonder what else they wanted to flatten for convenience.
Right, exactly.
These Rocky Mountains, they're really Route 66 is so hard when you get to this part.
That Grand Canyon, that's a whole bunch of real estate we could be
Just fill it up with
utilizing.
nuclear waste. It'll be fine.
Mhm. Right.
It'll glow in the dark.
It's
You know,
a giant trash can.
If we nuke down the Rocky Mountains,
Mhm.
certainly some rubble would end up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know,
Filling
right?
in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
No
There's, like a whole
conversation.
schemer idea here, just like
Yeah. No conversation started well, if you nuke it.
But you wonder, how many other of those things. I mean, if they were going to nuke just to make a harbor in Alaska,
Right.
Where
Yeah.
honestly, even with all the oil, I mean, think of other harbors that aren't deep enough.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Or
And plus,
that are
have they
filling-
learned nothing about what happened in Japan?
Yeah, it's sort of like the Mississippi
Nothing?
Delta. It's filling up and ships can't get it.
Right.
Were they going to nuke that?
Right.
What's there?
Where's the line?
Well, I wonder how many other projects that nobody ever heard of were just sitting,
Mhm.
that were sitting on the docket somewhere.
Right.
It would be
Exactly.
interesting to
That is
delve into, because
That is some research to
blew
do
my
on your
mind when
naps.
I saw that as one of her things that she helped
Yeah.
save Alaska from.
Nice.
She dedicated her life to preserving Alaska and
Don't nuke
protecting
it.
it. Yeah.
Why are you calling it chariot?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And how?
Sick, twisted. They saw
don't
Ben-Hur
know.
that week, and sweet chariot.
Or all the ships coming in to our beautiful new harbor,
Mm-hmm.
charioting in all
Yes.
of these goods and services for Alaska, but what you really mean is you're taking all of their resources and getting them.
Yes.
In. Ugh.
And the fish are glowing. Yes.
The interesting thing too is this was under Nixon, so I'm not great at my presidents.
Right,
but
right.
We were looking for a time frame.
Okay.
But this article also mentions that this was the first environmental investigation. So this was
Oh, okay.
pre-National Environmental Policy Act,
EPA.
yeah.
Okay.
So it was one of the first times professors had
Oh.
deeply studied.
I wonder if it was the time
Environment.
when our Glorious Silent Spring with Rachel Carson was kind of spreading the word
Wouldn't be
of
surprised.
things in the water, the
Mhm.
pesticides in water and stuff like that, and how quickly,
I
ecology
thought it was
goes away.
super. I kind of missed this little point, so I want to add it because I thought it was kind of a unique
Yeah.
thing about her. Is when she was fighting against the Rampant Dam.
Mhm.
She went into classes at an Alaskan university in economics.
Oh.
So not only could she, love the environment and have that passion,
Yes.
but she wanted cold hard facts about how this really wouldn't be good for Alaskan economy, and wanted to be able to fight on that level too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
thought that
money
was
is
super
sometimes where
cool.
people are like, yeah, no, that's cool, but I'll get money. And if she can prove that, you know what I mean, not even economic wise, then she's got a well filled out argument. So fascinating.
Very cool lady.
Dun, dun, dun. I dig it. Well, you opened it. Do you want to close it for us?
I would love to.
Yay!
Well, that wraps it up for Naturalist Gals Month. Next month, we're getting our lab coat because it's Science Gal time. It's Bonnie's month.
It
I love the science list.
Bonnie's favorite month.
We hope to see you soon at the Gals Guide Library, and thank you so much for listening.
For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.